to a new topic and wrap up with this, and that's education censorship. You may not know this about me, but I started off my professional career as a teacher. I went and got my master's in arts and teaching. My passion was education. I got trained in it. I was all set to be a science teacher at high school, which I did for a while, and then found I could make a lot more money in business and in technology, which is where I ended up. But I still am very passionate, and I've kept my tabs on the world of education. There's a couple of laws that are being fast-tracked in the House and Senate right now. Right out of the gate, the first things they want to attack are education. And I'm going to focus on one, and that's the Transparency and Integrity in Education Act. Now, it's wordy, but I want to focus on a couple of things with these words. I want you to know what it is that will eventually be signed into law, because there's nobody in that legislature to stop it. Here's some key phrases. The following prohibited concepts may not be included or promoted in a course of instruction, curriculum, assignment, instructional program, etc., blah, blah, blah. Nor may a student, employee, or volunteer be compelled to affirm, accept, or adhere to such prohibited concepts. You know, they use that phrase twice in the same paragraph. Prohibited concepts. So I wonder what they are. They must be scary. They must be dangerous. Let's see what these concepts are. And there's actually 7 of them. One, prohibited concept. That one race, sex, ethnicity, color, or national origin is inherently superior to another race, sex, ethnicity, color, or national origin. Anybody here dispute this statement? Has anybody gone through school or had their kids or grandkids go through school where that was like lesson 1? One race, sex, ethnicity is superior to another. We used to teach that back in the day, but not for decades, no. At least not blatantly in the textbooks. But apparently this has been such a scary topic, it has now become a prohibited concept. Second, an individual by virtue of the race, sex, ethnicity, religion, color, or national origin is inherently privileged, racist, sexist, or oppressive, whether consciously or subconsciously. Again, I don't know that I find this to be too terribly controversial. That just because I am of a certain color or race, that I am inherently one way. I don't believe that. Nor do I think that's being taught in our public school systems. Third, an individual should be discriminated against or receive adverse treatment because of the race, etc., etc. Should be discriminated against. Yes, ma'am.
So the thing that's jumping out at me of those 3, I know you're going to get to more, but we're not teaching that in our school system.
Are you catching that theme as well?
But we are, because we're teaching that in society that is reinforcing that, and we can't separate the school out. That's not what they're targeting.
Right.
With this. But I think it's very interesting that they're going with this. It's like, no, school is part of all of this, and all of this is a racist situation, so you can't separate it out.
Yeah, what they're after is printed materials or lecture notes that says, hey, the one race is better than another. And that is very different from things that we see in society, where it is permeated throughout in subtle ways that you can't escape from. But you're right, that's not what they're after. If they were after that, boy, we'd all be holding hands and making progress. But no, they're after these prohibited concepts from being in our schools. They also want to prohibit that the moral character of an individual is determined by race, sex, ethnicity. They want to prohibit that an individual by virtue of race or sex bears responsibility for actions that have happened in the past. They want to make sure that is not taught in schools. 6, that meritocracy or traits such as hard work ethic are racist, sexist, or belong to one religion, or were created by one group or another. And then finally, they want to prohibit anybody teaching that fault, blame, or bias should be assigned to race, sex, ethnicity, religion, or color. All right? So these are the prohibited concepts. None of which really seem controversial, except for the fact that there is no curriculum being taught in our public school systems that's pushing any of these. None. So they're really going after a phantom. Question, I saw a hand raised. Tori?
I teach American government at Piedmont Technical College, as well as economics. These bills they're putting through are not just going to stop at the K through 12 level. It's going to go up to that level. We're already hearing about it. It's also going to the four-year colleges that are part of the system. If we don't teach these things, the next step is the stripping of the Constitution.
Well, let's talk about teaching these things, because these are not things that I think we should be teaching either. I shouldn't be teaching that one race is better than another. But let's talk about what happens. And she makes a great point. This isn't just K-12. This is hitting all public institutions and the faculty members, etc., at all public institutions in the state. Let's talk about this part here, and then we'll talk about what they're really after. A lot of words. I'm not going to read this. But they're instituting a complaint form mechanism. They want to turn parents, students, workers into reporters. That they can go online, that the school systems are going to be bound to have an online form where somebody could register a complaint that Professor so-and-so or Mrs. Jones over in home ec taught us that one race was superior to another, and here's all the evidence. They're turning us into reporting on ourselves. So here are the chilling effects, because South Carolina is not the only state doing this. South Carolina is copying, almost cookie cutter, a national initiative, state by state, of conservative states looking to promote this same agenda. And here's what has happened in those states that have enacted laws just like what we're about to enact. In Ohio, they were reading Dr. Seuss's Star Belly Sneetches in a library. You guys know that story? All right, I'll summarize it for you. The Sneetches are this invented creatures, and there's two types. There's ones with stars on their bellies, and there's ones without stars on their bellies. And next thing you know, they're divided into two groups. They're attacking each other. They're yelling at each other. They don't like each other because the only difference is the star that's on the belly. And then the stars somehow get swapped, and everybody gets confused, and now they forget who belongs to what group, and there's a moral tale in there somewhere. I don't know what it is, but when this lady was reading this book out loud to third graders, she got uncomfortable because she realizes she was stepping into topics that she thought some parents might object to, and she bailed out mid-story and says, oh, you know, we're not comfortable finishing the star-bellied Sneetches. We have had in Philadelphia a high school where the principal saw a poster of Elie Wiesel, and please excuse me if I've got that name misspelled, but I know he is a Nobel laureate, famous author, Holocaust survivor, and there was a poster on the wall of his quote saying, I swore never to be silent whenever and wherever human beings endure suffering and humiliation. We must always take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented. The principal told the librarian, take that poster down, because he was worried it would be a controversial message that some might object to. So the happy outcome is that he got reversed in that ruling, and that poster is allowed to stand. But the fact that she was told to take it down just days before National Holocaust Memorial Day is just ridiculous. One more example, and then we'll get to you, Miss Audrey. Florida. Is Florida known as the pro-education state? No. What you're seeing there is actual footage of school library. Public school elementary library where all the books have been taken off the shelves. Teachers across the state are doing it because teachers are told they could be charged with felonies if they are found to have any books that are considered prurient or offensive. Star-bellied Sneetches, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we are headed to as a nation, at least portions of the nation. They're not after protecting our children from indoctrination. They just want to do the indoctrinating. As you can see, I'm a little mad. And you should be too. You should get mad over something about this, and this should spur you to get involved. Get involved means more than showing up to a breakfast meeting. As much as I love to have you here, as much as I love the audience and you being here, I need you to take this information out into your communities. I need you to step up and volunteer for committees. I need you to step up and volunteer for campaigns. Help knock doors, help make phone calls, help write postcards. Damn it, run for office yourself. Go into the school board. Help fight some of this craziness, because if we just sit by and shake our heads and go, oh boy, I hope somebody steps up to fight this on our behalf, you're going to be very sorely mistaken. So please, get mad and get involved.
I'm working on my library science degree, and I've taught English college level, and I'm going to tell you right now, get out there. The American Library Association, they are trying to keep the books on the shelves. Support your public, your school libraries, everything. If someone says, this book says this, if you haven't read it, read it, because odds are they haven't read it.
All right, God bless the librarians. They may be our last line of defense here. Thank you. Listen, the public library raised me as much as my parents did, and I'm just absolutely aghast. Yes, Barbara?
This is how the National Socialists began in Germany.
That's right. There's a lot of parallels to history here. A lot of parallels.